Vegans Retro Remix.
That sort of informed my development with regard to my love of animals. And when I was 12, I decided, well, if I really like them, it doesn't make sense to eat them. Like, how do I reconcile that fact in my mind if I like animals? So, I was a kid. My parents were from Britain, and it was basically potatoes and meat. That's all I had ever eaten in my life. I had never had a salad. I had never had ethnic foods. I had never had pasta.
Were we separated at birth? This is getting weird.
So I just said to my mother, I can't do this, so I'm becoming a vegetarian.
So there you are, gnawing on potatoes day after day after day.
Right, and my mother had no idea what to cook, and I ended up eating probably the world's most bland diet, but I stuck to it, and then over the years gradually came to like different kinds of foods.
Yeah.
And many people say today I'm still really picky, and that's probably a relic of how I was brought up with food. But certainly today, when you look at what I eat, it's vastly different and far more diverse. That whole interest in animals manifested itself in a number of ways, and I became active after seeing the Animals film. I believe it was actually 1981. I used to say 1979, but I just read that it was released in 1981, so I may have gotten my dates.
I was 5 years after you.
Yeah. So I saw the Animals film, and there's the call to action at the end. And back then, although all that imagery wasn't just available at the click of a button on your computer.
I had never seen anything like that in my life on a screen.
And I found it very difficult to watch, and some of it was extremely graphic. And I left that theater. It was the Kingsway Theater out in Western Toronto. And I left that theater saying, no, I got to do something. And the very next day, I started to look for something to do. So I was trying to find people that would be willing to engage in some type of proactive advocacy for animals. But there were no groups.
There is too much ego. It's in any movement.
There is. You have to shed your ego and be open to all kinds of ideas. And for those of us that have been involved for 25, 30, or 40 years, I can say that it's extremely rare that anyone from the activist movement today comes and says, well, how do you do things? Mm-hmm. And, I wish they would. We're going to embark this year on a program of trying to train activists.
So it's the activist school.
Yes, activist school. And,
awesome.
We've been doing workshops, and I started doing them overseas first. And then I sort of thought, well, what am I, dumb? We need them here, so maybe I should start to do some of them here. And we don't like to present them as sort of the solution, or we're not trying to say we have all the answers. We have very complicated systems that we're working in, and nobody has a magic
But why
bullet
start
solution.
from scratch, right?
Exactly.
At
Well,
least get over these.
There are basic principles that apply regardless of what you're doing. There are processes that people should be familiar with. Yeah. Like most activists today, I hate to say it, don't know how a bylaw is passed. They don't know the process by which a provincial or federal bill is passed. They don't know the simple things that their actions are trying to influence. And if you don't, then you can take things to a certain level, but then you can't take them beyond that level.
And your efforts are wasted in a sense, right? You're putting in all this time, and then it's going nowhere.
Industry or people with self-interest, because they want something to continue, will step into that void if activists don't understand the system and then follow through once they've reached that threshold at which an action or a reaction has occurred. Until we have that new system, we've got to work with what we've got. And people think that they can't have an influence, they can't win issues, but they can. And it requires, like I said, understanding the system and doing whatever you can do within your capacity, finding your place on that continuum of activity and always seeking to improve. And everybody can do that. Everybody can engage politically. It could be, getting a bunch of people together and following something like the Indivisible strategy platform that, was created to fight the Trump agenda before he was president, and then the Indivisible strategy afterwards. But there are all kinds of ways that people can learn about things and can have an influence, but they have to get involved politically.
Calling all vegans, Retro Remix.